Is it on?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I will call to order the March 21st, 2024 meeting of the trustees of trust funds. And we'll start by taking a roll call of those in attendance. Peter?
Yes, present.
And Dana?
Present.
And the chair is present. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the February 23rd, 2004 meeting.
So move.
And I'll second.
Okay, any corrections, additions, deletions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, start with you, Peter.
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, it's going to be a short meeting today. So next item on the agenda is a request to disperse $2,350 from the Housing Endowment Fund Trust. And along with that request is a certification by the city clerk that the city council approved this request on its Monday meeting, along with copies of the trust documents, et cetera. I don't know if you've all had a chance to look at them, but if you have, I'll entertain a motion to approve that request.
I'll move to approve the request as submitted.
Okay. Here a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Any questions?
I'm just curious, does anyone know how many of these loans we make a year?
For
I
the hometown loans, you mean? To the
Yes.
I sit on the committee to review the financials when they come through with Elise and CDBG, and we just did one last week. So usually two.
Really? That's terrific.
Yeah, usually 2 or 3 a year, maybe. So a couple.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, housing's tight. So, I mean, yeah, it's a couple. But we did do one last Friday. So,
How do people know about this?
I don't know.
well,
I'm not sure.
they have been publicizing it lately.
Yeah.
Is this what used to be the PEDLEP program?
No, PEDLEP was more business.
This is,
This is the first time home buyers, and they help them with a reduced.
Yeah, I think that was the Portsmouth Economic Development Loan Program. I thought.
Well, it was. That was an offshoot for residential mortgages as
Yeah.
opposed to a business loans. That
So these are for the first-time home buyers, yeah?
Correct.
Well, I partially know about this from the Economic Development Committee, because I learned last year that the city offers these to its employees as well. So if you've got a new employee coming into town who's a first-time home buyer, they immediately informed of that opportunity. So that may feed the request. Do you know whether the ones you reviewed or?
it was not an employee, no. I have seen in prior years, excuse me, but this last one was not for a city employee.
Okay.
do you assume that this is how it's going to be done in the future, Judy, as opposed to the outside firm that used to put together the financing?
I believe so, but again, I have not been part of those discussions, so I don't want to speak out of term.
Okay.
So, but I do believe so. I mean, from what I've read here, it does sound like they will be asking for some help with more administrative costs moving forward, but I can't speak to it because I was not part of those conversations.
Okay. I will call the motion. All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. This is the check. What's the CD department?
Community development.
Of course. All right, so the next item on the agenda, the TD Wealth Management reports, which include the DD.
Did you print out?
I did, but I like
You
yours
don't get to
better.
read them.
Any explanation why TD was late this month?
I don't know. Again, I have not talked to Suzanne. I don't know. She's usually the one that reaches out. When I didn't hear anything, I finally copied both of them on it saying, hey, how am I going to get this? And then John just sent it to me yesterday. So, and I don't know if it takes a day or two to generate the report. I don't know how it works over there. So I think it just, I don't know if Suzanne's back. I don't know what the story is with Suzanne over there. So, but John was the one that followed up with it. So lesson learned, I'm just going to make sure I copy John on everything as well. So,
Did I get that?
yeah, I sent it in a separate email late yesterday. I'm sorry.
No, no problem. I'll see if I can find it.
I got it around 5 o'clock yesterday.
When you get it, Dana, you'll be pleased to see that we have now crossed over the $24 million line.
Oh, here it is. Oh, excellent. Yeah, performance today is good. Yeah.
And if you note on my reports, I did note that there were two payouts in February. One was for out of Prescott Park to cover for the check that you signed
Right.
last month. And the other one is twice a year, we true up the scholarships money to make sure that we have coverage to pay out scholarships. The 82,175 was the first true up of this year, so. But I wanted to note it so that you'd know that that money came out.
Okay, any questions concerning these reports? Let's just hope the market continues the way it's going.
It was a good day yesterday.
Yeah, it's scary almost. All right, so before we sign checks, even though it's not on the agenda here, I wanted to ask Judy if she could update us on the item that we discussed at the last meeting about correcting the descriptions of the scholarships in the booklet. I know you've spoken with
Brittany,
the,
yeah, I have.
why don't you bring everybody up to date?
Sure. So I did reach out to Brittany and mentioned both the fact that you wanted to be sure that the community scholarships in the book noted that it was more than just for a New Hampshire resident or a Portsmouth resident, that it could be a Portsmouth resident that was attending school in Maine, and that the criteria had changed, so she would want to make sure that she updated the wording. She said that she wouldn't be able to do it in the book this year because they've already been issued to the students, but she would be sure to take care of that for next year. And then on the Mortimer scholarships, the concern was that it looked in the book like they had been lumped together as one scholarship. She did agree and say that, yes, it had been done that way in the book. I did point out to her that they have to be listed and tracked as separately because they are two standalone trusts and are reported to the state that way, and they are actually separate monies in each trust that are tracked separately. So she asked for copies of and then I said, and one of them is a tad different this, I think it's Mortimer 2 that has a little, something a little bit different than Mortimer 1 as far as the requirement goes. So she asked for copies of the trust, which I provided to her, and she said, she just kind of thought that they were both the same and that they could pool it all into one. And I did point out, I said, well, Peter gave you a letter that says there are 2 scholarships. I said, and it was a description on the Mortimer Trust, and I highlighted them for her. So she said, for their purposes, in the booklet, she said, you know, they had put them together, and that she said maybe we can find a way to list them differently. You know, I would suggest listing one as the William and Irene Mortimer 1 and William and Mortimer 2. But she said that as far as for my purposes financially, that they do keep them separate on their books, and when they give them to me, they know, because I pointed out, I can remember when I gave you the list, there were 2 scholarships listed, and there was a certain amount of money coming out of each scholarship, and she said that they will be sure that they have the right amounts coming out of each scholarship, and that moving forward, again, that they will make sure that they list them separately, and that I think that she was going to try to denote that, or had plans to denote that at the scholarship ceremony, you know, as far as, you know, in the awards, when she lists them out, that she will put, you know, Mortimer 1 or Mortimer 2 on the students' awards. So she's happy to make the corrections. It was just, they just kind of assumed it was kind of one big pool or whatever, or that it wouldn't matter how they listed it. But she said she'd be happy to correct that for everyone. So it's
Well,
kind of.
we had that discussion when I met with her and the principal.
Yeah.
And they know it's 2 separate funds.
Yeah. So it could be that, you know, maybe the book was published or in print before, or had been distributed before, but I'm not sure, but she did say that they would correct it. moving
We'll
forward.
correct it. We'll make sure it's corrected for next year.
There you go. So she's all
Yeah,
set.
that was a good catch.
Yeah, she's all set. So
You
moving
know-
forward.
So I'm curious, Peter, maybe you know, because you spoke with them. Do the students apply separately to each scholarship, or is there one common application for all the scholarships?
There's one common application, and there are certain scholarships that have other requirements, you know, like a letter or an essay or something. And but then the committee takes all of the applications with what they have available for funds and tries to allocate it based on to give out as much as they can.
Yeah. Got it.
Now, my concern is whether the selection committee is getting it right. I understand that the students may misunderstand the requirements because they merged the 2 Mortimers. But they're just filling out one application saying, I'm looking for money. But-
Yes.
So the question, though, is does the selection committee understand that there are different requirements for Mortimer than there are for Mortimer 1 than there are for Mortimer 2?
Yes, because they've got all that information.
Well, no, I assume they got it all, but the fact that somehow this booklet, this electronic booklet merged them, I'm hoping that.
Since Brittany is part of that, I would say moving forward that they would be aware that there are 2 scholarships.
Yes.
I mean, so
And
I think it's
the,
fine.
And the captain's aware of it as well.
Yeah.
All right, okay, well, so we'll just need to follow up on this early next year before they put the booklet out to make sure that,
You can always have Brittany come in. It's been a while since she's come in, so next year, before the scholarship season
Yeah,
starts,
maybe
you can have her come in.
maybe to have her come in October.
yeah, so if she came in the fall and we kind of lay out
Yeah.
things for next year, that might be.
I'm
a
sure
way.
she'd be happy to come in.
Okay,
She should be back by then.
She should be.
okay.
What was the total we allocated? 200 something?
Oh, over 200, like 224 or something like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's just, that, I find that astounding. It's so wonderful. It's significant.
It is.
Absolutely. Okay. So next we'll be signing checks.
You did.
We have none because we signed the only one, all right? Okay, any new business? Any old business? Anybody from the public?
I move we adjourn.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second. It's good to see everybody.
Okay, well, I gotta make a roll call here because you're down in Florida. All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, you playing?
Sometime next